I'm Noel Lateef, president of the Foreign Policy Association, and I'm delighted to welcome you to this corporate dinner in our 106th year at the Foreign Policy Association. As is customary at this dinner, we are pleased to host the outstanding high school teachers who are with us in New York for the week for the Judith Biggs Great Decisions Teacher Training Institute. They could be on the beach this week. Instead, they are toiling on lesson plans or over lesson plans for their students. I'd like to ask them to stand and be recognized. Okay. We are very pleased this evening to present our medal to three outstanding individuals. They are Mark Kiesel, Chief Investment Officer, Global Credit at PIMCO. Steve Odland, President and CEO at the Conference Board. And Raj Subramaniam, President and CEO at FedEx Corporation. Over the years, millions of Americans have participated in the programs offered by the Foreign Policy Association. They have sought a more profound understanding of global challenges and the facts that must underpin effective policies. By engaging the public at large, but more specifically, teachers and students, and through balanced, nonpartisan initiatives such as FPA's Great Decisions Outreach Program, FPA seeks to elevate public discourse on pressing global issues and thereby strengthen our democracy. The purpose of bringing citizens together has not been to impose a particular view, but rather to consider and weigh many views. I am reminded of the words of Bertrand Russell, quote, "The world is suffering from intolerance and from the belief that vigorous action is admirable even when misguided, whereas what is needed in our very complex modern society is calm consideration with readiness to call dogmas into question and freedom of mind to do justice to the most diverse points of view." I received a letter today from our fellow, Jerry Speyer, chairman of Tishman Speyer. He ends the letter by saying, quote, "We face many challenges, both domestic and international. I wish you and your colleagues at the Foreign Policy Association the best in promoting civil, informed discussions of consequential matters," end of quote. Over the years, FPA has mustered a solid record in this regard, as captured in a short clip we would like to share with you at this time.
It began as an ideal, shared by visionaries who saw a world where American foreign policy was debated not only in think tanks and universities, but in community centers, libraries, and homes across the country.
Klamath Falls has what is called a Great Decisions Group. There are about 15,000 of them across the country.
Military action is the only action that keeps the communists contained anywhere.
Would you go to war over Vietnam and Laos?
I certainly would do anything for pride and honor. All out war over there.
They imagined an organization that would inform us all to shape the future. An organization dedicated to gathering the best research and offering the facts of world issues without bias. Knowledge made accessible and shared to change our world for the better.
Tonight I am speaking as a guest of the Foreign Policy Association a nationwide organization, a distinguished organization.
People keep inquiring whether I would do it all over again. My answer is yes. The problem is no one has asked me.
I would like to express my appreciation to the Foreign Policy Association for helping bring this group together today.
Today, the FPA's flagship Great Decisions program is the largest discussion program on global affairs. Each week at community centers nationwide, participants read the Great Decisions briefing book and watch the television series before discussing and debating the most critical global issues facing America. In high schools and universities across the country, graduates of FPA's Teacher Training Institute design Great Decisions courses for their students. In their homes, millions of Americans watch the Emmy-nominated Great Decisions television series on public television, delivering essential background and diverse perspectives, challenging viewers to make their own great decisions.
I am very happy to have participated in the Great Decision programs and the work of the Foreign Policy Association. There needs to be more education in terms of what is going on abroad in order to fully understand how it affects our own people.
And in New York City, the FPA continues to attract world leaders to engage its members and the public.
I think this organization can make a major contribution to fulfilling our responsibilities as a people.
I have been for many years, long before I was in the United States Senate, a great admirer of this institution and what it's done and what it does. And I think the role it will continue to play in a very complicated world.
Through its balanced, nonpartisan programs and publications, the FPA encourages Americans to discuss and debate world issues and to participate in the foreign policy process. For a century, the Foreign Policy Association has operated under the mantra that a properly functioning democracy depends on an informed citizenry, a beacon that will illuminate our next century. Thank you for your support and for your participation.
And now for the State of the World, please join me in welcoming our chairman at the Foreign Policy Association and the chairman and chief executive officer of MSCI, Henry Fernandez.
Good evening, everyone. I went to graduate school at Princeton, not Harvard. I'm always fond of these meeting rooms because at Princeton, these are the eating clubs. And that's where a lot of thought leadership and a lot of debate and discussion goes on. So I hope we can achieve some of that here as well. Thank you, Noel. And good evening again, everyone. As always, I am incredibly impressed by the wide range of thought leaders, public officials, and corporate executives assembled in this room. So on behalf of the entire Foreign Policy Association, we're all grateful that you join us for dinner tonight. As Noel just said, we will do, I don't know if you said it, Noel, but I think it went out as communication, that we will do our best to make sure everyone gets home tonight in time for what could be a historic presidential debate. And I've been told that there will be a lot of focus on foreign policy. So we hopefully can have a precursor of that tonight, so that everyone is prepared for the debate. So with that in mind, I'll keep my remarks a bit brief. I would like to say just a quick word about the mission of this organization and the purpose of these events. In my day job at MSCI, we have 8,000 clients in about 100 countries. So I get a chance to go around talking to them and government officials, regulators, and all of that. And I recently spent a month traveling in 4 European cities in Western Europe and about 2 weeks in China. Just came back about a week ago. When you venture outside of the US, you quickly understand how fast the world is changing, especially in the relationship between nation states. Some of the changes are positive and others are negative, but all of them will change and will reshape America, no matter how much we think that we're insular and defended from that. For example, Russia's unprovoked and unjustified war in Ukraine has accelerated a very profound rethinking of the European Union and its purpose and its way of dealing with defense policy, energy policy, and government spending. Likewise, the rise of populism throughout Europe, as seen most recently in the European Union parliamentary elections, has created major challenges for the ancien regime, right? The established order. We will see what happens, right, coming up in the French elections, for example. In China, a lot has changed. And we can talk some more about that, at a later point, but companies are navigating significant geopolitical risks and tensions, while at the same time trying to stay globally connected and overcome the economic slowdown that is taking place in the country. The US and the Chinese economies remain deeply intertwined, and we should not overstate the extent of any decoupling. This is not the Soviet Union. This is a country that is totally integrated into the American economy and the world economy. Even still, the future of globalization seems more uncertain today than at any point since the end of the Cold War. And that is no exaggeration. Fortunately for us, in the three things that two countries can trade or can exchange goods and services, they can exchange people, and they can exchange capital. So far, the protectionist policies have only gone to trade and immigration. Thankfully, not on capital. If we end up seeing a major amount of trade, a major amount of tensions and blockage of the flow of capital around the world, I think that could cause enormous implications for the global economy. When you add everything up that we see in the world today, this feels very much like one of history's inflection points. And that is no exaggeration. We don't feel it maybe as much day to day because the changes are small on a day-to-day basis, but they are tectonic. And when you look at the aggregation of all those changes, both positive and negative, over a period of a few years, you really recognize that the world is changing very fast. Nobody knows how the Ukraine war, the Israeli-Hamas conflict, the turmoil in Western Europe, or the US-China tensions will play out in the years ahead. But we do know that foreign policy has returned to the forefront of American politics, which makes the FPA more important than ever before. For over a century, this organization has promoted deeper awareness and understanding of global issues. Our mission is to educate Americans of all backgrounds to become more actively engaged in the foreign policy process. In an age of hyper-partisanship and fierce polarization, the FPA stands as a beacon of independent thought, rational discussion, and civilized debate. We take no sides. What we try to do is to bring parties together to talk about issues and debate them. I think you are needed, Noel, in many American campuses nowadays, because that is the challenge of American universities today. How do you keep people from tearing each other apart in that debate and let them exchange views that they may not be comfortable with? So it is events like this one that provide yet another opportunity for conversations across party lines and across different thoughts and across different industries and different ways of life. I always learn a great deal at these dinners, both from the speakers and the people introducing the speakers, and also from the people at my table. So tonight's honoree do not work in government, but they have all made key contributions to the public discourse on global affairs. In that sense, they are all eminently deserving of the awards that we're going to give them today. And we look forward to hearing from them after some meal that we can get the process going. Thank you very much and enjoy your dinner.
Good evening. My name is Michael Meyer. I'm the managing partner of Seaport Global, which is a private investment bank here in New York. I'm extremely honored to be here tonight to introduce and recognize my close friend Mark Kiesel for the Foreign Policy Association Gold Medal. I will say I have a great dinner partner tonight, Giuseppe Capriati, and it's been wonderful to get a little bit of introduction to this great organization. And I look forward to learning more about it after tonight. Mark and I have known each other for over 30 years. We first got to know each other when Mark was a summer intern at Merrill Lynch, where I was a corporate bond trader, and he was getting his MBA from the University of Chicago. The common thread that brought us together was the profession we both loved for over 30 years. We both feel fortunate that what we do every day is not a job, but a true passion. We both love our jobs, the financial markets, and we are driven by building personal relationships, both in our careers and our personal lives. Over the years, Mark and I have done a lot of business together. I've been very fortunate in my own career, and I can thank Mark for being a big part of my own success. Having PIMCO and Mark Kiesel in your corner, so to speak, was a very valuable thing for me. So thank you for that, Mark. Mark has had a unique career, to say the least, and I look forward to sharing some of those highlights with you right now. Mark has been at PIMCO for 28 years, where assets have grown from $60 billion to $2.5 trillion during his period there. And for the past 10 years, Mark has been PIMCO's Chief Investment Officer in charge of their global credit businesses. This achievement is the very, very, very top of our profession. Yesterday, I ran into one of Mark's peers at another large asset manager, and I told him about the award that Mark was to receive tonight. And he quickly said to me, "No one deserves an award or for achievement in our field more than Mark. His work ethic, discipline, and skill set are unmatched. I've lost out to him on more asset-raising presentations than I can count, or frankly want to remember." As I prepared to present Mark this evening for this honor, I've reflected on his career, and I kept coming back to an analogy that I truly think is appropriate for Mark. What we do every day has many similarities of being an athlete in terms of being on the playing field each day and the preparation it takes to compete and succeed at a very high level. When I watch things like the ESPN's 30 for 30 episodes or documentaries on Hall of Fame athletes who are exceptional at their sports, such as Tom Brady, Tiger Woods, Kobe Bryant, to name just a few, what always stood out to me was the extraordinarily hard work they put in versus their peers to be the best they could be. They certainly had the talent, but their success came from that combined with that talent was the working harder than all of their peers. Mark Kiesel fits this description. I have not come across anyone that has put in more of an effort than Mark has to compete and succeed at the highest level of our business. He was always one of the first people at his seat each morning, preparing for the day of trading bonds and doing research for PIMCO's founder, Bill Gross. The significance of that is that he was in the office before New York people were in their seats, which was 3 hours ahead of him in Newport Beach, California. We're talking 3:30 in the morning, every day without fail. Occasionally, I would work on the weekends, and I would log into my Bloomberg terminal, and without fail, Mark was logged on as well, whether it be a Saturday or Sunday. My weekend visits in the office were random, his were not. Mark caught the eye of PIMCO's founder, Bill Gross, very early in his career at PIMCO. Bill Gross's reputation was known throughout the industry as one of the most intense individuals anybody has ever heard of. In less than 5 years out of business school, Mark was promoted to a senior portfolio manager, unheard of at one of the most demanding places to work in our industry. Sweatshop, Adult Swim only, were some of the consistent phrases used when mentioning work at PIMCO. And I'm certain that Mark's West Point background played an important role in his preparation for this environment. With Bill Gross's confidence in Mark as a backdrop, Mark's career took off and hasn't slowed down for a second. He has traveled to every part of the globe in his tireless efforts to build PIMCO's global investment businesses. I could make a travel book from the pictures he has sent me from Asia, the Middle East, all parts of Central and Eastern Europe, and throughout the United States. On these trips, Mark has developed one-of-a-kind relationships from stewarding the assets of the largest institutions in the world and PIMCO's largest investors, central banks, governments, pension funds, state funds, and the largest corporations in the world. Mark has hired, managed, and mentored hundreds of PIMCO's portfolio managers and analysts over the years. His groups have some of the lowest turnover in the industry, one of the best measures of success and culture. Mark's achievements have been recognized not just through the growth of assets, but also by the most recognized industry consultants. He has won and has been nominated numerous times for Bond Manager of the Year by Morningstar, the equivalent of winning the Oscars for bond managers. He has won 23 Lipler Awards across 4 separate categories. No individual manager in his asset class has achieved that. Just this year, Mark has won the 10-year Lipper Award for the best absolute bond returns. These rewards are due, in large part, to a 25-year track record where he has beaten his index benchmark by close to 2% annually, a truly remarkable achievement. Today, we recognize my friend Mark Kiesel for the Foreign Policy Gold Medal for his incredible achievements as one of the largest and most prolific manager of assets in the world. It is truly my honor to be here tonight to introduce Mark to all of you for this prestigious award. Thank you.
Well, let me just say that's hard to follow. And believe me, to share this evening with all of you, and particularly with Michael, I can tell you stories. We go back 30 years, and let me tell you, we've had a lot of fun together. But at the end of the day, it's all been about our relationships with people, and this is really, truly an honor. I grew up in a small town in Michigan, and my entire life I was just trying to get out of that small town in Michigan. And believe it or not, this is kind of emotional for me because it started for me when I was 22 years old. I started in New York City. And what I remember most is I was the guy who was rollerblading down 6th Avenue that all of you were saying, that kid is crazy. Well, that was me. 32 years ago, I was that rollerblader down 6th Avenue. And I remember half of my after-tax income went to rent, and that was towards a 400 square foot small studio. So I've lived in some pretty humble places. But one thing about me is I wasn't afraid to kind of go places and do things that other people wouldn't do. I joined the only gym I could afford when I was 22, and it was fortunately located down by Wall Street, but there were not a lot of Wall Street people there. Let's just say some of the membership came right out of let's say jail. And needless to say, I managed to work out with them and take my suit and take that subway down there. I was fortunate to go to West Point for a year, and I ended up transferring to play golf at Michigan. And I was really grateful for the University of Michigan. They gave me an opportunity to tutor other athletes. I tutored football players and basketball players and developed some amazing friendships. One of the perks was I got to go to a lot of really fun parties too. I'll never forget that time. And Michael and my relationship, we also share a huge passion for golf. And so I've developed a lot of close friendships with golf. These friendships through sports, through my colleagues, through business, have really made my personal career balanced, fulfilling, and satisfying. It's allowed me to enjoy the journey. And that saying that when you do something you really truly love, it isn't work. I'm standing before you and I can say this is true. I've never worked a day in my life. This has really been my passion. And I love people. There's that movie Up in the Air with George Clooney from 2009. I'm sure some of you saw it, where he traveled all over the United States. Well, I'm that guy at PIMCO. I raised my hand when no one wanted to go to Japan or Saudi Arabia, and I said, I'll go. And it was really funny because I was 29 years old, and I told Bill Gross, I said, we have this prospect in Japan, and I know you don't like to travel. Can I try? And he kind of looked at me like, yeah, you can try. So I went over there, and ironically, we won. And I don't know if I was lucky, but maybe they liked my enthusiasm. And so that's now PIMCO's biggest client, and it started out as one of our smallest. So it just shows you, these relationships matter. A lot of dinners, a lot of late nights, a lot of meetings. From an investment perspective, I would say, my biggest advantage was my time horizon. I never really got rattled by short-term events. I tended to look out 3, 5, 10 years. And I did that not only with the clients that I managed the money for, but also with the investments that I made. To be a successful investor, you really have to get out and travel and kick the tires. And that's honestly the most fun part of my job. And Michael will attest to this, is actually doing the work on the ground with the teams. A lot of travel to Argentina and to Mexico and Russia. I used to go to China a lot. I'm not going to China as much now. But you really have to kick the ground. It was really this constant travel and on-the-ground knowledge, that gave us the edge. And again, it wasn't work. It was a passion. Another successful thing about money management, you have to handle stress. I would never be able to do my job without the support of my friends and family. Alexandra, who is here with me tonight, my significant other, she was my trainer. Alex, you can just kind of wave to everyone. So Alex doesn't look all that intimidating, but let me tell you, I was scared to death of her. When she started training me, I never felt more unprepared in my life. And we had a lot of great moments together, and I'm really happy that she's here with me tonight. And thank you for training me, and thank you now for loving me and being my soulmate. The key to I know we have this debate, so I'm going to just get to the punchline. To me, I think relationships are the key to everything. The key to success in business, the key to close families and your closest friends. And so the best advice, I would pass along is just that time you put into building that relationship, whether it's with your children, your spouse, your clients, your colleagues, it will pay huge dividends. And importantly, you'll get to enjoy and share the journey a lot. You get out of every relationship what you put into it. I would finally apply my comment about time horizon to relationships. Alex always asks me why I don't get stressed out about the small stuff. And it's true that, just like when I invest in companies, I don't care about the next week, the next month, or quarter. I'm really looking 5, 10 years out. And I know with Alex that future is going to be amazing. Anyway, this long-term time horizon has served me well. The people, the passion to do this. It's truly been an honor to be here tonight with all of you. And thank you so much for this prestigious award. Well, it starts by picking the right medal with the right name. What fabulous words of relationship, friendships, and lessons in life. So thank you for sharing all of that with us. It is my great privilege to introduce our next honoree, Steve Odland, President and CEO of the Conference Board. Steve has long operated at the intersection of business leadership and thought leadership, intellectual leadership. In that sense, he epitomizes what the FPA medal is all about. Many of you may be familiar with the Conference Board, and the rest of you have almost certainly seen their work mentioned in the world's biggest media outlets. Founded more than 100 years ago, he reminded me that they were founded a couple years earlier than the FPA. The Conference Board is a non-profit business and economic research organization. It is most famous for its monthly Consumer Confidence Index. Mark, I'm sure you follow that often in your business. Products like that have made the Conference Board the most widely cited private source of business intelligence. Prior to becoming President and CEO in 2018, Steve Odland led the Conference Board's Public Policy Center, which is the Committee for Economic Development. Before that, Steve compiled a truly remarkable corporate resume, serving as Chairman and CEO of Office Depot. Everyone recognizes Office Depot? Chairman and President and CEO of AutoZone, President and CEO of Tops Markets, and Chairman of the Business Roundtable's Corporate Governance Task Force. In the policy arena, Steve has served on the National Surface Transportation Policy Revenue Study Commission, the President's Council on Service and Civic Participation, and one of my favorite ones, the Committee on Capital Markets Regulation. I hope you were not too tough on Wall Street at that time. In addition, he co-authored the 2007 book, Sustaining Capitalism: Bipartisan Solutions to Restore Trust and Prosperity. If you haven't read that book, I highly recommend it, and we need it even more so today than in 2017. Steve currently sits on the board of directors of General Mills, while also serving as a senior advisor to Solomon Partners and a contributor to CNBC. So look out for him, on the screen there. He has an MBA from Notre Dame and an MBA he has a bachelor's degree from Notre Dame and an MBA from Kellogg School of Management at Northwestern. As I said earlier, Steve has been both a business leader and a thought leader throughout his distinguished career, making him most worthy of being a recipient of the FPA medal.
Please join me in congratulating him on this enormous award. Henry, thank you. Noel, thank you. It's always interesting to listen to your career read one step at a time, and you're probably figuring, what's wrong with that guy? He can't keep a job. But thank you for this recognition of the Conference Board. It's truly a great organization and very similar to FP&A. We're a couple years older, but both organizations are really dedicated to education, nonpartisan discussion, and discussion in context. And Noel was, you were very distinctly focused on context as an important part. Welcome to all the teachers who are here tonight. We've got a whole, they're the ones that, they drained the bar outside before the dinner tonight. That's what high school teaching does to you, but congratulations on this great program. I'm very proud of the Conference Board. It's got a long history, but this was a group that came together as the National Industrial Conference Board. The term conference is more like a sports association. They brought together all of these business associations. This is the board of directors that created the 5-day, 40-hour work week, created all the child labor practices, none of that, safety standards, all of the things that were voluntarily then adopted by businesses throughout society back in the teens and around World War I. It was really a remarkable organization. And FPA grew up relatively in the same era to bring businesses together, to educate people, to get the discussion going on global events. A really remarkable organization, and you all should be proud to be associated with the organization, because if ever there was a time where we needed context in our discussions about foreign policy and the globe, it is today. And thank you all for being here with this debate. I don't know whether you're here because you want to see it later or you're hiding so that you don't have to see it. But for whatever reason, it is interesting that we're talking about this context in this rapidly evolving landscape. And I do hope that they address that tonight, because it is so important. At the Conference Board, we provide forum for balanced dialogue and nonpartisanship. And we find that when we bring people together of all stripes, of all parties, we find that people, if they listen and they discuss and they hear each other, you find great agreement and understanding. And you can get to solutions in the nation's interest if people listen to each other. And I think that's really part of the mission. Henry mentioned our book, Sustaining Capitalism, and our whole point here was to say that business leaders and leaders in government and leaders in academia and leaders in all walks of life, leaders of high school students, need to bring people together in a nonpartisan fashion to discuss the issues of the day and come up with the solutions. We got to stop screaming at each other. We've got to stop arguing, and saying, I'm right, you're wrong. It's got to be this collaboration in this great country of ours. And I know that you do this every day with your students, and thank you for starting young, because we pick them up after that in our businesses, and it's really important that we do that. I'll leave you with this. Next week is the 4th of July, and our independence was determined by a great group of leaders of this country. Ben Franklin left one of the gatherings. You probably heard this story. I wasn't there, but he was asked by a woman outside of the conference, "What form of government will we have, Mr. Franklin?" And he said, "A republic, if we can keep it." But he might also have said that they were creating a civil society if we could keep it. And that's where the nexus of the foreign policy organizations, the association and the Conference Board, and everybody brings people together. We're at another precipice here in our nation's history, in a global time, and our work, your work in bringing people together in the public square, having civil dialogue on these issues is so critically important. So on behalf of the Conference Board and our hundreds of people around the world, thank you very much.
Good evening. I think a couple of us are standing between you and the debate, so I think I'm going to keep my comments relatively short, but it's such an honor to be here from actually San Francisco. So from this left West Coast to join you for this evening, and really an honor and a pleasure to introduce our medalist, Raj Subramaniam. As president, CEO, and board member of FedEx Corporation, Raj is well known and well regarded and well respected across the international business community for his keen business insights and focus on globalization. And as I get further in my introduction, he has so many proof points about those words in terms of business and globalization. He has established a distinguished 3-decade-long career at FedEx, and some of us at the dinner table was talking about there's some of us that really believe in the concept of building long careers in one company, and I think Raj's success really demonstrates the value of that stick-to-itiveness and of that building and of that leadership. With that, 2 years ago, in June of 2022, he became only the second CEO in FedEx's history, following the founder and founding CEO, Fred Smith. We were also talking about what an honor and privilege to have that as taking over the reins from the founding CEO, but also how much pressure and how much work and accountability that must bring when your predecessor is there in the boardroom with you every day. But I did not hear any thing from Raj that indicated that was not a positive experience. And the fact that Raj is bringing the company to new heights shows the merits of really the succession the company has. Raj is revered for so many things, including his leadership and foresight as he moved FedEx towards revolutionizing and really transforming the transportation and logistics industry. And I think we see that as indicated how well the company is doing from a stock price standpoint and its market cap, if you've been tracking that today. In addition to leading FedEx and serving on the board of Procter & Gamble, Raj is also committed to lending his experiences to advance economic growth and global trade through his work and several prestigious business organizations. I had a chance a few weeks ago to join Raj, as well as some of the FedEx team members in Washington, D.C., when he was inaugurated as the incoming chair for the U.S.-China Business Council. And that is also a big job, especially given what's going on relative to U.S. and China relations. He was appointed in 2023 by President Biden to the President's Export Council. He also sits on boards of the Business Roundtable, U.S.-India Business Council, U.S.-India CEO Forum, and the U.S.-India Strategic Partnership Forum, just to name a few. I'm not sure how many hours he has in his day to serve on so many councils and also run this amazing company. He clearly is committed to the future as a member of the board of FIRST, a nonprofit organization dedicated to inspiring students of all ages through robotics programs. Tonight, the Foreign Policy Association joins an esteemed group of organizations who have recognized Raj's distinguished leadership and outstanding contributions in his long career in the U.S., Asia, and around the world, including awards bestowed by the President of India, the China General Chamber of Commerce, the Conference Board's Committee for Economic Development, the Canada-India Business Council's Global Service Award, just to name a few. If you haven't had a chance to really speak with Raj, which I have, especially this last month, you will learn many things about him. I'm not going to give away all his secrets, but you'll learn he's an amazing storyteller. He's able to take something that seems very complex, but put it in such clarity as he talks to you over the dinner table. He has this depth of experience that is unbeaten by the fact that he operates in hundreds of countries, and probably has been to each of those countries, and if not yet, soon to go to each of those countries, which means he's always on the road. But if you had a chance to meet him, he's highly energetic, and highly thoughtful. I see it every time I see him in a room and command the room. But if you've ever watched him in a press interview, which I did also just refresh a little bit of some of the press interviews he's done, he's unflappable. And those are some of the indicators of a great CEO and a great leader. And on that note, please welcome me in joining and welcoming Raj Subramaniam to the stage. Thank
you so much. Thank you, Anna. I think I should just stop right here. But the going is good. I appreciate that extraordinarily kind introduction. And this is the fourth city that I am in today, so I'm a little bit, so if I think I'm going to keep this one very brief, especially since you're all waiting on this extraordinary debate that's going to happen shortly. But firstly, let me just say it's an incredible honor to receive the Foreign Policy Association Medal. And this recognition holds profound significance, not only just for me, but we have an entire FedEx team here. And those who really share our mission to advance global understanding and consideration. And again, including the other award winners today, Mark and Steve, congratulations to you all as well, because it's a privilege to be recognized amongst the distinguished group today. We have believed always that the world is increasingly interconnected, and that the work that we do is to foster dialogue, build bridges, maintain peace and stability, and create economic opportunity, and that is more critical than ever. And we also believe that global trade is a major driver of these objectives. But unfortunately, support of trade has become a polarizing topic, with the rise of the protectionist rhetoric across the political spectrum, some of which you may hear tonight. But we believe that it is vital that the United States once again becomes the champion of free and open trade, so we can capitalize on what it all affords. Trade opens new markets for U.S. producers and exporters. It enables resilient and diversified supply chains, a win-win for business, consumers, and the global economy at large. Trade has definitely been proven to combat global poverty. And countries with open trading systems and border measures that facilitate trade grow faster and provide higher income and more opportunities than for their populations. At FedEx, trade is our business. FedEx team members sit on the front lines of the connected global economy, and it's from this vantage point that our company observes the benefits of global trade every single day as we connect people and possibilities around the world. From helping small businesses bring their dreams to life and products to the world, to transporting critical supplies where they're needed most, FedEx is working to make global supply chains smarter for everyone. So my advocacy for increasing trade extends beyond the walls of FedEx. As Anna just talked about, I just took on the role of the chair of the U.S.-China Business Council. And through this opportunity, I plan to focus my efforts on increasing engagement with American and Chinese leaders to support a constructive relationship between our two countries, one of the world's
most important bilateral relationships. We talked about Fred Smith, and I often say, I can see far because I'm standing on the shoulder of a giant. It's indeed my honor to follow in the footsteps of Fred. He saw the potential in countries like China, India, and the benefit that increased trade would bring across the board. The Foreign Policy Association Medal serves as a testament to his legacy as well as the efforts of the many dedicated individuals who strive to make our world a more just and cooperative place. I extend my deepest gratitude to the Foreign Policy Association for this honor, and more importantly, to its commitment to developing awareness, understanding, and informed opinion on U.S. foreign policy and global issues. I'm sure that together we can continue tackling complex challenges and inspiring future generations of global leaders to come together to forge a vision for taking effective action. Thank you again for this great honor. I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Congratulations to all our honorees. Let's give them a round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, good night and get home safe.